Some bad news out there for Ed Miliband. It was announced yesterday that his great wind farm plan in the North Sea is going to go the way of all flesh, and it's actually not going to be happening. Partly because it's too bleeding expensive, which is what we could have told him before he started on it. Catherine, a very good morning to you.
Good morning.
This comes as no great surprise to you and I that the Danish, I think it is, have basically pulled the plug on what they were hoping was going to create all sorts of energy for the UK.
Well, yes, I mean, they've cited what we've all known was going on, that you've got rising financial costs and rising supply chain costs, and these have now made the project not viable. And what's interesting is that the strike price for this project, so the level of the subsidy, is actually the current level of the market price.
Yeah.
And so all this, renewables are cheaper, they're going to save you money. Well, they couldn't make this project work at the same price that is being paid based on gas generation that Ed Miliband's constantly complaining is too expensive and driving everything higher.
Yes.
So if they can't make it work at that price, well, the question is, well, what price would it work? And it's obviously more than we're paying now.
Yeah, and that's the problem with Ed Miliband. He kind of continues to issue these platitudes about, you know, what we could be getting in the future and how much we will be saving and what this will mean for your energy prices. But it's all a will and a maybe, and it's not actually a this is here and now and how now it's happening.
Well, it's also not true, though, because we can see from this example that offshore wind is more expensive than gas-based generation.
Right.
Like, this project's been cancelled based on not being able to make it viable at the current price that you get for building gas plants.
Right.
So if you can't make that viable, it's never gonna be cheaper. Staying with gas is going to be cheaper than building these offshore wind farms.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you might think there are other reasons you want to build offshore wind farms, but don't say it's cheaper, because it obviously isn't. This proves that it's not.
Yes.
He's just got to stop banging on about gas making everything expensive, because it's just not true.
Right. Well, this is the trouble. He keeps issuing these statements which are blatantly wrong and blatantly lies, and yet he very rarely gets picked up on it. I mean, you got the one sort of interview that he had with Sky last week where the guy picked him up on the 78% tax on gas production, and he made a bit of a fool of himself trying to explain that, you know, gas was fixed price around the world and there was nothing to do with anybody fixing a price differently for retail and wholesale and all the rest of it. But I mean, every single statement he makes relies upon how this is going to be better for us, because the reason we pay so much for our energy is because of fossil fuels, which again is just wrong, isn't it?
It's completely wrong. We have the highest industrial electricity prices in the world, the fourth highest domestic electricity prices in the world, but our gas prices are only the 15th highest.
Yeah.
So these are not consistent facts. If gas was to blame, then it would all be the highest. Lots of other countries are importing gas. Lots of other countries use gas for electricity generation, but their electricity prices are lower.
Yeah.
And it's because we load all of the subsidies onto electricity bills, and then we've invented a whole bunch of extra carbon taxes, which other people don't have, and we stick those onto electricity bills as well. And all of this is coming out of consumers' pockets.
Yeah.
And it's extremely disingenuous when he sits back and goes, oh, none of this is my fault, it's all to do with international gas prices.
Right.
He could change this straight away. He could take hundreds of pounds off energy bills immediately by recovering these subsidies through taxation, by cancelling these very expensive new subsidy rounds. The previous round cleared at the same price as the current market price. So obviously no benefit over the existing gas-based costing. We're expecting the next round to be more expensive. You know, and they want to move the contracts from 15 years to 20 years, which is only something you propose when you're worried about the headline price being much higher than it was previously. Yeah. There's no way he's going to achieve his plans for 60 gigawatts of offshore wind by 2030 without spending enormous amounts of money. And there's no way this is going to save people any money at all on their bills. It's going to make bills higher.
It's exactly right. And it's also going to cost us jobs, because, of course, we keep hearing from Keir Starmer as well as Ed Miliband that there's 600,000 jobs in this green superpower that we're going to create. And this particular closure of Hornsea 4 is going to mean that there's loads and loads of jobs which they claim they were going to create, which are now not going to be created, right?
Well, and it's not just there, it's across industry where we're seeing manufacturing closing as a result of high energy prices, making them uncompetitive. And then Keir Starmer makes these comments about aligning our carbon prices with the EU, and that caused our carbon prices to jump from £35 at the end of January, just before he made those announcements, to now over £51. And this, again, it's adding hundreds of millions of pounds to electricity bills per year over across domestic and industrial consumers, plus all of the impact that will have on people using gas in their businesses.
Yeah.
So again, it's an extra layer on top of the new and higher business taxes, the higher employment costs. Every time businesses turn around these days, they're getting smacked in the face with new costs and taxes.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, you have things like this climate security summit, which seemed to me to be a complete vanity project, where he got to sort of give Ursula von der Leyen a hug on the way into Downing Street and talk about setting up all these amazing kind of, net zero companies and all these net zero agreements, all of which are sort of going to come to nothing, aren't they?
Well, exactly. And what's really frustrating about all of this is that our net zero policies are actually making global emissions higher. So Ed Miliband goes on about how there's a climate emergency and that's going to cost everybody more money than whatever it is we have to spend on renewables and so on. But at the end of the day, all we're succeeding in doing is offshoring our manufacturing to countries like China and India, where their energy is cheaper but much dirtier. And then you've got to ship all this stuff back here. And so overall, our emissions might go down in the UK, but global emissions go up.
Yeah.
So for all this talk about climate emergencies, none of it is actually achieving anything useful.
No, a bit like Ed Miliband himself, not achieving anything useful. Maybe we could put him into some kind of, fracking well and concrete him over. Perhaps that would be a good idea. Catherine, good to see you. Thank you very much indeed. Catherine Porter, independent energy analyst.